Hi everyone, it's John Bay, CEO of Standard Uranium. We're a Canadian junior exploration company focused on the Athabasca Basin of Saskatchewan, Canada.
John Bay, famous videographer from Canada. How are you?
I'm good, Matt. How are you?
Good. You're taking advantage of the social media, doing lots of videos yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, we pumped out about 75 videos last year.
Yeah.
I really enjoy those. We start them off as the idea of educating the retail investor of what actually happens at a project site. And then my VP of exploration, Sean Hilliker, he's great on camera. So we started doing everything, just telling investors what's going on, what kind of questions they're sending us. And the feedback's been phenomenal.
Cool. It's harder than it looks, isn't it?
It's super easy. Everyone should be doing it. I'm blown away by how many companies don't do it. I mean, cost-wise, it's so cheap compared to paying marketing companies to do stuff. You can be doing it out there and having a lot of fun with it too.
That's what I say. The amount of companies that go onto shows not like ours, obviously we're very unique, but shows and say the same story. They repeat the same story in the same way with different channels. Or go on and make presentations, the same PowerPoint presentation, multiple. It's like, do it yourself. I think, I commend you for doing it, sir.
Yeah,
so
thank you. Well,
first of all,
we like to have fun with it too, right? So
you
see us hanging out in a snowbank or riding skidoos or minus 50, freezing our butts off, trying to tell the investor what's going on and why we're doing it and why that's important and why companies are like us, how we're spending your money. And they love seeing that. We get incredible feedback saying, thank you so much. I had no idea what goes on in the drill site. So that's pretty cool.
You're spending our money on skidoos. What are they called? is that
well, skidoos are what we use to get around at minus 50. The trucks kind of die. So you use those to boot around from project to project.
There you go. Show my age. You're here at Mines and Money.
Yes.
And you're beating the streets of London as well, meeting a few institutions along the way. Right. We're talking uranium today, guys. So quite a tumultuous year. Lots of spikes and lots of moments to look back on. Favorite moment of the year, apart from Sput? Apart from that.
Well, for me, it was actually being at a project site and seeing the drilling happening and seeing everyone out there. We had actually a few days when we brought our entire board of directors and technical team to site.
Yeah.
And that was like August long weekend, and that was really cool. So getting everyone really invested and seeing what was going on, talking to the drillers and seeing everything happen is pretty cool. And investors love that too.
Okay, here's the thing for companies of your size. What are you, like, say 30 million market cap at the moment, have been higher when the Sprott stuff came out. You're going to have to deal with a whole bunch of new entrants. We saw it last cycle. We're going to see it again. These retread stories, these change of name companies happening. And then there's a bunch of real companies that should be getting real investment, real dollars from people, but won't because they're going to be distracted, right? How do you cope with that?
Well, for us, we try to be as transparent as we can. We try to be marketing all the time, explaining to investors that, look, companies like ours, we're here. We've been here from the last 3 or 4 years. We're the ones who are actually on the ground doing the work. We're getting our permits on time. We've got engagement.
Permits for what?
So exploration permits and drilling permits. You need to have those. And they're not as easy to get, especially with COVID last year. Some companies didn't get them and they couldn't explore. Now, on top of getting your permits, you have to have engagement with the First Nations groups. We've got that. You can't just show up and say you're going to start doing exploration programs. It doesn't work that way anymore. On top of that, you have to have drillers and the vendors, and they are hard to get. So go back in time a couple of years, you could throw your flag in the ground, you could have drill companies, you could have vendors, helicopters, whatever you needed. It's not that way anymore. So companies that are showing up now and saying, we've got a project, good luck getting all those things I just mentioned. It's tricky.
It's tricky. We've seen people like Baseload even suffer from that. And plus, obviously, CRDN stuff recently, a lot of companies named in there. And that's got to play itself out, and those conversations need to be had responsibly, etc. So you're right. People can't sort of launch into the Athabasca Basin or Canada willy-nilly, but they're going to come. The money's going to come, and the thematic is going to be strong. It's already strong. It's getting stronger for next year. You got to do more than just put out videos, right? You got to say our 2 key projects, which you put 2 key projects and 3 sort of earlier stage projects. How are you going to tackle them? You talk about being funded, so what are you going to do there?
So what we try to do is explain to people what's going on in each project. So our Davidson River is our flagship.
Flagship.
We've done 3 big drill programs there. And each one, the results are getting better and better and better. Now, to the average investor that may not understand exactly what we're trying to do, they're expecting us to make a major discovery in every drill program. That's not realistic. So what we're technically trying to do is prove our theory, which is, first of all, we wanted to show that we were actually on the Patterson Lake Trend conductor, which hosts the Triple R and the Arrow and Spitfire. Those those all sit on the same conductor where our Davidson River project is. So we had to do the geophysics, we had to drill it, and each drill program has been really good technically. So we're finding, stacked shear zones. We're finding greater levels of, sulfides and graphite conductors. We're getting great alteration, great clays. And, our geologist, Sean Hilliker, who spent 5 years at NextGen doing his master's degree on the Arrow project, when we're seeing this drill core come out of the ground, he can look at it and say, this looks identical to what we were seeing at Arrow. And if you told me this was from Arrow, I'd believe you. Now, what we don't have is that high-grade discovery yet. So we're vectoring in each drill program, we're getting closer and closer. And that's the goal of the company, make that Arrow discovery on our project.
Right, do that. I imagine you'll get a reaction. So how much money are you allocating to that?
So we've already spent about $10 million drilling the first 3 programs. This year we're going to spend probably another 4 or 5 on Davidson River. We're going to be drilling that one from May, June, and July. We'll go back there, do another 5,000 to 6,000 meters, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so, and what else do you need to do there? Do you think to kind of capture the interest? Because, like saying, we've made a discovery. Not many people make discoveries, so it's harder than it sounds. But what else is it going to take?
Well, I think keeping the investment community aware of what our goal is and what we're trying to do, and have them understand that it's not, this is a process, it takes time, and they should be looking for drill results that are showing that we're getting closer and closer, and we're going to continue to be transparent and show that and try to explain that better. I think when our last drill results came out, we didn't do a good enough job explaining to the investment community, why this is important and why this is good, and that, we haven't made a discovery, but they were also a bit upset that we didn't hit as many holes as we'd hoped to do in this last program, and that happens sometimes. Drilling in this region is not easy, and having competent drill programs and drilling companies that can do that for you doesn't always work out. So listen, that happened to us, and we're going to learn from it and be better next time.
Okay, we've also seen some Sundog announcements as well. Yes. So how are you splitting and apportioning the capital and time?
Yeah, so Sundog is a great project. It's in northern Saskatchewan, in Uranium City. And we're going to be going up there for the first time for a drill program. So we staked it about 1.5 years ago. We got the drill permits within a few months, and then, but we didn't have consultation with the First Nations group up there. So they're represented by a group called Yatanini, and we spoke to them when they said, look, we understand you have your permits, but you haven't really talked to us. And you go back in time a couple of years, you didn't really need to. The government was supposed to do all the consultation. Now it's on the company as well to make sure that you may have your permits from the government, but you also make sure you're engaging with the First Nation groups in that region. So now we've done that as well. So we just signed an engagement agreement with the Yatanini group a few months ago. Sean Hilliker and I went up to site. We looked around at the project site, hopped out of the helicopter, and radioactive boulders were at our feet. The scintillometer was going ballistic, which is amazing to see. So we're going to go up there. We're going to do some more geophysics in January, February, and we've got a drill program planned starting in March.
Right. Okay. There are quite a few companies in the Athabasca Basin which have got extraordinary valuations. If you look at market cap, you look at share price, whatever way you want to quantify, extraordinary. Who, let's say, are not meaningfully advanced necessarily, but a lot of value has been attributed to them. So is it a case of you've got something to learn about the way that they've talked to the market or the way they've presented information to the market? Like, I'm talking about your 30 million market cap, right? You've not spent much time or effort. You were private when we spoke 2 years ago, right? Do you remember?
I do.
You were there, you should. But how do you tackle the market? Because the communication thing is one stuff. The drilling that you're doing and vectoring in is all kind of good. But is there something that they're doing and the way that they're coming about it that is different from you, which is causing them to get different valuations? Are they being more honest, less honest? How would you phrase it?
I would say that the real honesty comes out when the assay results come back.
Sure.
Right? So we're not going to be over promotional. We're going to be honest with their shareholders and tell them exactly what's coming, and the assay results will speak for themselves. So some companies do.
Well, that's the trouble. They don't. You need to interpret for people.
Well,
so
true.
How do you do it?
Well, you do you have to really explain what those assay results are telling us and how it's helping us vector in on that next discovery. Listen, there's uranium all over the Athabasca Basin, and one drill hole here and there is not a discovery, it's not a deposit. So you have to take some news releases with a grain of salt and really wait for, bigger news to come back to sort of help define what that might be. So we're not going to do that. We're going to continue to work our projects and be, not over promotional, but just try to be fair and let our investors understand, where we're going and how we plan to get there and what that's going to look like. When we make a high grade discovery that we believe is going to be a deposit, we'll let you know.
Okay. Mike Young's rocked up. From Australia.
What a guy. Mike Young is
He's a great guy. He's
awesome. So Mike and I have been friends for several years now.
Right.
I really got to know him in the past few years when he would be over here in Canada, marketing for Vimy. We struck up a good relationship. So when I saw him leave Vimy, I was on the phone with him the next day and talking about it and what his future plans were. And I'm happy to say we brought him onto our board.
Okay.
He brings a lot of experience on the uranium side. He actually, when he came out of university, his first job was working in Uranium City at a project right beside Sundog. Okay. So that's awesome to have him be able to share some insight on that. And of course, he's built a company, Vimy, for 8 years from where it was to where he left. It was a remarkable change for him. So you probably heard he's now been appointed CEO of a solar company.
I saw that.
So he's going to get his uranium fixed through us, which is great. Yeah.
Okay, and in terms of building up the teams, just more broadly, because it comes back to this thing about how you face the market.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you start small, you're restricted, you're cash constrained, you've got to allocate your capital wisely, efficiently, all of those wonderful things. But you bring on a Mike Young and others, it helps you, John Bay, present and face the company differently. So can we expect to see a little bit more from you next year, or do you need in terms of funding to be able to sort of see the share price recover, and what's your expectation of timing then?
So let me put it this way. We feel we're in a really good spot right now. Look, the uranium market's going to be very strong for the long-term future, in my opinion. Right. We've got cash in the bank. So we raised money last August, raised $5 million at 24 cents. We took this company public, as you know, 18 months ago. We were a 5 million market cap company. We raised money at 15 cents, then again at 20, then again at 24. It's been, as least dilutive as possible for our shareholders. Each time, accretive. And we'll probably go back to the market in Q1. And we anticipate the market is going to pick up again. And we would like to be raising money at a higher valuation than we did last time. So each time, just enough to allow us to not be too dilutive, but enough to give us enough cash to run our exploration for the year and have a bit left over going into the next year.
But where's the aggression? Where's the ambition in all of this? Because it's all well and good watching the pennies, right? But you move at a certain pace there, and I appreciate you don't want to dilute anyone, and that's all very worthy. But you're going into what is a bull market for uranium, right? It's kicked off. This year was a moment which actually meaningfully kicked off the uranium market, and we'll expect to see more with Sprott, obviously with the new listing. One would hope, and all the announcements from COP26 and around the world from various governments saying nuclear is green. That's the way forward. Surely you need to have a more aggressive, ambitious plan than you've got now.
We would love to be able to, do massive drill programs on all our projects, but the reality is there's not enough people to do it. There's not enough geos, there's not enough drillers, there's not enough vendors. It's very constrained in the Athabasca Basin. And for all these, new entrants coming in thinking they're going to be able to do exploration and drill programs, they're out to lunch. They're not going to get vendors. They're not going to get drillers.
I can't wait.
So watch for that. So, finding out who the companies are that have got the permits, have got the money, have got the First Nation relationships, have got everything lined up and are going about it smartly, that's who you want to be invested with.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I do. But at the same time, I want the good guys to actually accelerate quicker. I want them to be aggressive and do things in the right way. Everything that you just said, right? For all the right reasons, you do, but also take advantage of the situation, because those new entrants will be attracting dollars, which should be going to companies like you, because they're going to talk the game. There's going to be a lot of white noise, which you need to compete against. So that's what I'm saying. How do you time the moment where you say, do you know what, guys? I think if we just get a little bit more ambitious, I think we can win. We can do better. We can catch up. It may be expensive now, but it'll seem cheap in about a year's time.
Well, it's kind of a fine dance you're always doing, right? I mean, I can tell you right now that if I wanted to go out and raise X amount of millions, I could do it. The bankers are calling me on a regular basis, saying, take more money, take more money. But we want to make sure when we're raising money that's at an accretive level and it's going to be good for our shareholders, not just the ones coming in, but the ones that we've got in our share registry already. We don't want, when we do a drill program, we get a lot of data from that core and we analyze it and it helps us pick our next program. So if we're going to go out and just blow money on drilling everywhere, we're not going to be able to use that data until we analyze it and pretend we're getting ready for our next program. So that's all part of the game as well.
I appreciate it as a dance, but like I said, I'm just interested in the conversations that you guys are having about it, right? Because it's like, there is the thing, we've talked when you're private about there's money which seems expensive now, but down the track looks actually the best money you could get. And the best money you get sometimes is the money that's there right in front of you today. So how are you toying with this, and how close are you?
It's interesting.
It's a thought.
I've been in this cycle, in this game for 15 plus years, and I've seen companies always talk about, I'm not going to take money now because in 6 months my share price will be way higher.
Yeah.
And then you see catastrophic things happen to them. So we always want to make sure we've got cash for the next 12 months at least, and we want to see what those next drill results give us. Our theory is we're going to be doing better and better each time, as all companies say that. But look, we've proven that so far. We've done a really good job of looking after our capital, spending wisely. Almost all the money we raise goes into exploration. We've got a very small burn rate for executives and offices and stuff. We've got a small team, and we like to look after our shareholders' money, and we don't want to take too much in. There's always guys, especially in Canada, where you can get flow-through money. You can go to the market and say, oh, look, I want another $10 million of flow-through, which means you have to spend it on the ground. You've got a certain amount of time to do it. And a lot of times that money gets blown out, right? So you want to be careful of who your shareholders are, who you're bringing in. Yeah. And I think for us now, where we were compared to 2 years ago, now we can be much more selective on who we let into our financings, because we've got a nice list built up of funds who say, we like you guys, we like what you've done. Yeah. Next time you're doing a financing, count us in. So that's part of being here in London, meeting some of those funds that 2 years ago we weren't ready for them. Now they're ready for us. They now follow us. It's funny, I'm meeting with some of these fund managers and they say, John, I love what you guys are doing on social media. I watch all your videos. To me, that blows me away. Like, these pretty significant funds are following a small little company like ours and watching our social media, understanding what we're doing, and now have a good rapport with us, which is awesome.
Yeah, but the thematic's strong, right? So I think that really helps, and there may have been inactivity as you expect, but they have been keeping a watching brief for sure. Okay, if we can't nail down what you may do with regards to funding now, can you give me a sense of what you look for? Because you're a small, agile, nimble company. You make the decisions. It's kind of easy, right? What are the moments that you're looking for next year, which will allow you to, I don't know, step change, segue off into a different direction? You've got these 3 assets over on the Eastern Basin. What are those moments that you're cognizant that you're going to have to just look at, and what would the response be from you in each of those instances next year?
So there's a few things to touch on there. Yeah. So first of all, our flagship thing is our Davidson River project. We want to be drilling that. We really believe there is a deposit to be found there. So we're going to be drilling this one aggressively every chance we get with the funds we bring in. Outside of that, we're super excited to get to Sundog and be drilling that for the first time. Look, this hasn't been explored for 40 some years up there. And before, they were looking at perch mineralization, stuff right at surface. Now we're going to be looking deeper underground, looking to see if we can find the source of that uranium, which is pretty exciting as well. Now, on top of that, M&A. M&A is coming to this space. There's companies in the basin. There's companies from other parts of the world that want to be in the basin. We've got some projects. We're looking at projects. There's lots of opportunities now for us to be thinking outside of just what we're doing right now. And those are all, as you say, could be big changes for our company.
But M&A, in terms of you acquiring stuff, that's not realistic, surely, but with your capital structure as it is at the moment, and the fact that you've got to make a discovery and you've got to prove yourselves in a way, right? But you do have 3 assets, which are much earlier stage, but which could be spun out into monetized somehow, right? And that's good for drill programs and whatever else activity you've got about both your projects. So, but you said something which I was intrigued by. Again, in terms of the decision making, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in some of these boardrooms, right? Where you go, I tell you what, Davidson, if we make a discovery, is that going to be significantly higher valued than, say, maybe progressing a second asset? We all love 2 assets, de-risk 2 assets, not a single asset company. Great, double, just multiple jurisdictions. It all helps, right? But the reality is, the market will view a discovery much more highly than you fiddling around up at Sundog. Surely,
definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
So does that give us a clue about how much money or percentage of your money is being apportioned to Davidson?
Well, put it this way: everything to date, 100% of our exploration's gone to Davidson River so far. Yeah. Now we've got Sundog, and I can tell you the budget for Sundog this year is going to be about $2 million.
Okay. Whereas,
of what? We're going to do an $8 million spend this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not totally distracted.
Oh no. The only time we can be exploring Sundog is that January, February geophysics. The month of March is drilling. Everything freezes up there. Wow. You can build an ice road. You can drive everything up. You drill for a month, and then you get out of there. And then we move that drill team to Davidson River, and we drill there. And then when that's done, we can move them over to our third projects.
Got it.
And we can start working over there in like August, September. And for us, I mean, those projects on the eastern side, they're early stage, but we can add value to those by doing geophysics, by doing a bit of drilling and upping their value so that should we do, an entrant comes in and wants to acquire them from us or do a JV with us, we can add greater value to those for our shareholders by advancing them a bit further.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're playing catch up with some of the uranium stories in the Athabasca Basin. 2022 is your year?
It's going to be a great year. We're really excited.